Hey, what is up everybody? It's Animac here for AnimeUproar, and today I will be breaking down the complete tragic history of the Todoroki family, including their origins, all the shocking family drama, and the crazy twist concerning Shoto Todoroki's other brother. There is a lot to talk about. These guys are basically the Kardashians of MHA, so let's get into it. If you enjoyed the Boku no Hero content on this channel and you want us to keep it going, you know what to do. Leave a quick like and comment. It only takes a second, but it helps a lot with the YouTube algorithm. And if you're new to AnimeUproar, or maybe you watch our videos but you haven't taken the time to subscribe yet, do me a quick favor and make this the video that you subscribe and hit that notification bell to turn on all notifications. A huge thank you to all of our AnimeUproar patrons who make videos like this one possible. I will talk more about Patreon at the end of the video, but for now, please be advised that this video will contain Boku no Hero manga spoilers. Please proceed with caution, you have been warned. The Todoroki family is an old, respected, and prestigious family, and they appear to have been prestigious even before Enji became the family patriarch. However, as Enji manifested an incredibly strong flame quirk, and as he began climbing the top pro hero charts, the prestige of the Todorokis climbed along with him. Once it became clear that Endeavor is the top contender to one day replace All Might as the #1 pro hero, other families began to see the advantage of forming a close alliance with the Todorokis through marriage. The Himura family was one such family. As we all know, Enji Todoroki, aka Endeavor, spent most of his life trying to surpass All Might and failing miserably. Enji became so frustrated by his inability to overtake All Might that he decided to set up a quirk marriage with the Himura family. The Himura family had a daughter by the name of Rei, and Rei's father convinced her that she should marry Enji, even though Rei and Enji barely knew each other, and they certainly did not love each other. Enji chose Rei to be his wife not out of love, but because he believed that her quirk was the perfect pairing with his own quirk. Enji wanted to produce a child with the ultimate quirk, a quirk that would one day enable this child to fulfill Enji's dream of surpassing All Might. Because Rei had a powerful ice-based quirk and Enji had a powerful flame-based quirk, Enji believed that the perfect combination of these two quirks would produce the ultimate power. For her part, Rei agreed to the marriage out of a sense of obligation to her family. This idea of a quirk marriage is a fascinating concept and something that is unique to the world of Boku no Hero. The obvious analogy to this in our own world would be political marriages, where two families join together in order to increase their wealth and influence, regardless of whether the two people getting married actually want to be together. The marriage itself is not about love, it is about interest. Similarly, a quirk marriage is also about interest, but the focus is on creating offspring with the best possible quirks. I think that this quirk marriage concept is a good addition to the story because, realistically, if quirks were real in our own world, this type of marriage would probably be a thing. It just feels real and plausible within the context of that world, and of course, this type of marriage comes with its own unique set of challenges and hardships. After their marriage, Enji and Rei would have 4 children together. The eldest was a son named Toya, who inherited Enji's flame-based quirk abilities. Then they had a daughter named Fuyumi, who inherited her mother's ice-based quirk, and after that they had Natsuo, who also inherited his mother's ice-based powers. Finally, they had Shoto, who as we know was born with the perfect combination of both fire and ice. The overpowered quirk known as half hot, half cold. Shoto's quirk is exactly the type of power that Enji had in mind when he first embarked upon this quirk marriage. And so, once Shoto's powers manifested, Enji decided to turn Shoto into the hero who would one day surpass All Might. Enji separated Shoto from his siblings and forced him to undergo rigorous training. And in his obsession to turn Shoto into the future #1 pro hero, Enji neglected the rest of his children. That is the story we all know, and we've known it for quite a while, but that is not the whole story, not even close. In the more recent arcs of the manga, we learned a lot more about the Todoroki family, and especially about Shoto's mysterious older brother, Toya. And even though I already gave you all a spoiler warning at the beginning of this video, I will now warn everyone one more time that major spoilers are ahead. Angie and Rei's eldest son Toya was actually born with an incredibly strong flame-based quirk. Even though it was not the epic combination of fire and ice that Shoto possesses, Angie readily acknowledged that his son Toya's quirk was even stronger than his own. And so, Angie believed that Toya did indeed have the potential to surpass All Might. But if that is the case, why did Angie focus all of his attention on Shoto while neglecting Toya, even though Toya had the potential to achieve exactly what Angie wanted? The answer lies in the specific way in which Angie's and Rei's quirks combined within Toya. Although he inherited his father's flame-based quirk, and although Toya's flame quirk was actually even stronger than Angie's, Toya's body did not develop a sufficient resistance to fire. Instead, his body inherited his mother's ability to tolerate extreme cold, but not his father's ability to tolerate extreme heat. As a result, every time Toya used his flame-based quirk, he burned his own body and injured himself. Even after noticing this dangerous side effect, Angie still believed that Toya could be the one to surpass All Might. But after Rei and the other children expressed their concerns that Toya's training is slowly killing him, Angie finally agreed that Toya cannot be the one to surpass All Might. Angie made this decision not because he didn't like Toya or because he didn't believe in him. He made the decision because he actually cared about Toya in his own strange way, and he didn't want his son to keep getting hurt. However, by that point, Toya already had his heart set on becoming the future #1 pro hero and surpassing All Might. Angie had already awakened that dream within him, and Toya didn't want to give up on his life's dream just because using his quirk burned his own body a little. Toya wanted to keep training, he wanted to keep getting stronger, and he wanted to make his father proud. And so, Toya kept coming home with burns and bruises because he kept up his training in secret. He clearly wasn't getting the message, so Angie decided to try a tougher approach. Angie told Toya straight up to give up on his dream of being a hero and just focus on other things like his sister Fuyumi and his brother Natsuo were already doing. Angie said this for Toya's own good. If Toya gives up on being a hero, then he won't have to deal with a lifetime of agony as he is forced to burn himself over and over again just so he could use his quirk. But when his own father forced him to give up on his dream, Toya was crushed. It made him feel inadequate and worthless, and it made him jealous of his younger brother Shoto. Shoto was the one whom Angie was focusing on now, and this was extremely painful for Toya because he still wanted to be the one to make his father's dream come true. Eventually, all this disappointment and frustration led to Toya losing it. Desperate to get his father's attention and to regain his favor, Toya blew up at his family and tried to hurt baby Shoto. This is the point in which Angie decided to separate Shoto from the other children and just train him in isolation. He did this to protect Shoto from another potential attack by Toya. But all this did was isolate Shoto from the rest of his family while also making Toya even more upset. Since Angie now spent most of his time alone with Shoto, the other children felt neglected by their father, and this was especially the case with Toya. And just as Angie had been obsessed with surpassing All Might for years, Toya became obsessed with achieving his father's dream even if his father wouldn't help him anymore. At this point, Toya seems to have concluded that mastering his quirk and becoming a hero is his singular purpose in life. And so he continued to train in secret until his flames eventually changed from red to blue. During his training, Toya also realized that the power of his flames is directly connected to his emotions. After his flames changed color, Toya regained a bit of his confidence and he decided to show his new power to his father. He invited Angie to come to a remote location known as Sekoto Hill during the holiday break because he wanted to show his father that his flames are now blue and even more powerful than they were before. But Angie decided not to go to Sekoto Hill at the scheduled time. He believed that if he showed up, he would be encouraging his son to keep hurting himself, and so he decided not to go in the hopes that this would finally convince Toya to give up on being a hero. While sitting alone up on Sekoto Hill, Toya is consumed with disappointment and he begins to cry. After being rejected by his father yet again, he becomes intensely emotional, and because his quirk is directly connected to his emotions, Toya's entire body suddenly bursts into flames. Toya loses control of his own flames, and this leads to a massive fire that scorches the entire hill. A fragment of Toya's jawbone was later found on the scene, and Toya was presumed to have died in the flames. Enji and Rei's eldest son was dead, and Enji's neglect and harsh parenting style were partially to blame for this tragic loss. But instead of learning from his mistakes, the tragedy drove Enji even deeper into his obsession. In an attempt to take his mind off of Toya and his own sense of guilt, Enji doubled down on training Shoto to one day surpass All Might. And of course, this led to an even greater divide within the Todoroki family. Eventually, Rei's mental health deteriorated. She simply could not cope with the loss of her son and the cruelty of her husband at the same time, and she snapped. One day while she was talking on the phone, she was surprised by the sudden appearance of a young Shoto. The left side of Shoto's face triggered a traumatic episode because it reminded Rei so much of Enji, and she then proceeded to throw boiling water at Shoto, permanently scarring his face. As soon as the incident occurred, Rei immediately regretted it. She didn't do this intentionally. She was not in her right state of mind. And after the incident happened, Rei tried her best to care for Shoto's wound. But the damage was already done, and Rei was ultimately committed to a mental institution. For his part, Shoto did not blame his mother for what happened. He blamed his father for traumatizing his mother to the extent that she became mentally unstable. As we know, Shoto's resentment for his father would continue for years, and at the beginning of the series, Shoto still hated his father so much that he refused to use the flame side of his quirk. Shoto's brother Natsuo also felt a similar type of resentment for Enji, while their sister Fuyumi seems to have been a bit more moderate in that regard. And yet, the tragic story of the Todoroki family is still not over. As we find out later on in the story, Toya Todoroki did not really die in that fire on Sekoto Hill. Although he was presumed dead, he somehow survived, and about a decade later he reappeared as the ruthless villain, Dabi. We don't know where he went or how he came to be a villain, but once he did become Dabi, Toya morphed into a completely different person. Far from wanting to be a hero and surpass All Might, he wanted to destroy the corrupt hero society, and he had no problem with murdering people along the way. Just like Enji was driven by obsession for most of his life, Dabi is also a man completely consumed by obsession. And while Enji's obsession was to surpass All Might, Dabi is obsessed with getting revenge on his father, the man he came to blame for everything that happened to him. Dabi is so determined to destroy his father and make his father suffer that he is even willing to kill his own brother Shoto if the opportunity ever arises. And he wants to do this just so he could see the look on Enji's face when his golden boy dies. Naturally, the shocking revelation that the villain Dabi was Toya all along rocks the entire Todoroki family to their core. And as of the making of this video, they are still trying to come to terms with that earth-shattering reveal. I have to say, this really is some top-tier family drama, and I can't wait to see what happens next. And that is it, the complete history of the Todoroki family explained. What do you guys think of the Kardashians of the Boku no Hero world, and what do you think will happen with Dabi in the end? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more Boku no Hero content in the future, just leave a like. It only takes a second, but it helps a lot. And if you're new to AnimeUproar, or maybe you watch our videos but you haven't taken the time to subscribe yet, make this the video that you subscribe and hit that notification bell to turn on all notifications. You really have to go through the trouble of subscribing, hitting the bell, and then selecting the option that says all. If you don't do that, you're still gonna miss a ton of our videos, even if you are subscribed. It's just how YouTube works. You can also hit me up on Twitter and Instagram at AnimeUproar. I want to give a big thank you to all of our AnimeUproar patrons for making videos like this one possible. Special thank you to Alpha Sigma. He is an absolute mad lad and disciple of Lord Twigo himself. And I can't forget all of our The One tier patrons, the ones who rise above all other clans, including Ingrata, Pate Hefa, Aljatal, Hinokami and Water, The Toasted Chi, The Spike, Emperor Otaku, Spidey Life Tanel, Tungsten Tarkus, Baked Buddhist, Cody Hebert, and Monkey D. Quilly. Finally, thank you also to our Pro Hero tier patrons, including the one and only Gilgamesh, the Red-Haired Raven, Angel Cruz, Rathuin Deora, Very Gucci, Alicia Octor, Bonnie Parks, Joanne Garcia, Ted No Ted, Fatboy Games, Corey McGowan, and Soul Ray Slice and Dice. If you enjoy our videos and you feel that they provide value to you, consider supporting us on Patreon. Even a single dollar will give you access to our patron exclusive Discord, and your name will appear in our videos along with these legendary people. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, see ya, Space Cowboys!